So 2.5 years ago, my son came out and said, one day we were talking about religion and God, and he said he's agnostic. So me being uh, not a ritual believing person, I just believed that there was some kind of superpower. Maybe I was hoping that there is some kind of a superpower, because when I had questioned my father, when I was a kid, he had said God is nothing but, there's a word in our language. It's adrushta, means luck, right? So, and he made it sound in such a way that something that cannot be seen or touched. Adrushta means like a cannot be seen, and that is luck, also called as luck. So you have to believe that there is some higher power there, though he did not believe in, he was not too big on idol worship kind of thing, but he did not question it all the way either. So he was kind of, you could say he was an agnostic theist,
Yeah.
right? And so I was also raised with that kind of, a casual theism. uh, you know Pray when you want, do whatever you want, go to the temple if you want. If you don't want to go, it's not a big deal. Just be a good person, kind of thing. And when I was trying to, I could never get the uh, willpower to impose religion on my kids, right? Because both me and my wife are kind of casual theists. That's a new word, I guess.
No,
So,
I get it. That makes perfect sense, because that's exactly what I would have called my parents as well.
right, theists of convenience. And when we were raising our kids, and we never really, you know how everything, the law of, I forget the, law of diminishing returns, right? So everything out, every generation, things get diluted, what you believe in, right? So my grandparents were probably way more religious. My parents were slightly less. We are slightly less. Our kids are even less. So it keeps getting diluted, and we didn't really have the inclination to correct that. And my son came out and said one day, he was like, I'm agnostic, I don't care.
And his son will be just an atheist.
Probably,
His,
yeah.
his son might even be a strong atheist. I know that there is no God.
Oh God, exactly. So when he said that, I wanted to. It kind of triggered in my thoughts and said, you know what? I need to look into this more. And I thought I was trying to come up with arguments to convince him, but turns out it was I was looking for a subconsciously I was looking to convince myself,
Yeah.
because I had never really thought about that for a minute. It was just, it was just like in a zombie state.
Why do you think? Why do you think he came out and said that? What do you think caused him to identify that way? Like,
because
clearly, it sounds like he thought about it at a time when you didn't, or he thought about it with some depth. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I was kind of embarrassed, right? Because being so 3 times older than him, and that, I had never given it some thought. So I wanted to uh, catch up with him and know enough to have a good discussion with him. So it kind of started doing the research. He probably did it because we were, again, way too casual in our religion. So he never believed in, the stories of the different Indian gods, and we kind of had to force them to say a prayer in a language they didn't understand, right? Indian Sanskrit. And same thing, I also say a bunch of prayers that I don't fully understand every single word. I know the general idea, but for them it was even more foreign to say prayers in those languages. And they were like, they never really got into it. And I'm pretty sure his age group, none of them are religious, right?
yeah.
Same thing with, as you see in the Pew polls and stuff. More and more people are starting to, especially the millennials and Gen Z. They don't care about religion.
You know, it's funny. You mentioned saying prayers that you didn't fully understand. Do you know the Lord's Prayer in Christianity?
No.
It's a very common. It's probably the most. It's probably the only prayer anyone can name that, because it's straight out of the Bible. But most Christians know it because it's in the Bible. Most have no idea what it means, though. And I say most because it's a prayer that even children know. And I said it all my life as a children, and I know that I didn't know what it meant when I was saying it. I just know that it was something I was supposed to do. And
Yeah.
that's how people teach their children. It wasn't until later to where I started investigating where I kind of got the meaning, and now even in more perspective. So even in the same language that you are accustomed to and familiar with, you still may not know what the hell you're talking about. You know.
Right. So, we've been in the US for like 21, 22 years, and we've gone to a temple like 4 times, right? So we are super chill in the sense that we're not very religious, we're not very God-fearing types. So I think that got diluted even further with our kids and their generation. Some of their parents are very religious, but the kids are not. So the age group of my son and my daughter and her age group friends, nobody is religious. None of them have ever got together and say we'll go to a temple or a church or nothing. None of the kids from either of my kids' age group, I've never seen or heard of any of them going to church or a temple with their families either. So it's kind of got watered down and watered down, and I think he was taking a more lazy person's approach. He was trying to be non-contradictory, I guess, non-confrontational with me when he said I'm agnostic, because he didn't want to take either side and get into an argument, because maybe at that point he was not sure if I would get upset if he came out and said he was an atheist, or if he
Do you
said he
think
was.
he is an atheist?
Yeah, I think he's an atheist. My kids are they're both atheists, but they don't like the word atheist. They'll
Yeah,
say
it has
they
baggage even in this country.
yeah, they'll rather say, I don't know, I don't care.
Mhm.
um and
So, what was it that I'm sure you're probably getting to this, but just to remind the audience of the question, what was it that convinced you, or that unconvinced you, that you didn't have a reason to believe in gods?
I had been questioning this my entire life, but I'd never taken that last step of saying, okay, now I have researched enough, so I'm going to make a decision and make a call on this, right? I never got to that last 1%. I was 99% there. I was agnostic, atheist already, or an agnostic theist at that point. And when my son came out and said he's an agnostic, then I started researching. I wanted to know exactly what that word meant. I kind of knew what it meant, but I wanted to know like the definition. I wanted to have a, because my son, you know how it is. I don't know if you have kids, but you have to be ready with their points. You can't just BS around when you're having an argument with them. You have to come with your facts.
I agree with that. I don't have kids myself. My co-host Caleb does have kids, and right now his kid is in desperate need of his daddy. So he's going to take a quick break and then rejoin us. But if
Sure.
anyone can identify with what it's like to raise kids right now, it would be Caleb.
Right. So you have to come with with your A game if you're going to get into an argument with them trying to prove or disprove something, because they just not going to take when we were kids, you just had to go by your parents' words. Now, they'll Google it, they'll ask Siri. 2 seconds later, they can pull up. You can't make up old wives' tales. You can't, tell things
Yeah,
like,
if Siri contradicts you, or Alexa, or any of these,
right,
AIs that they have,
right.
now you may have made things worse. So
Yeah, and they'll be like, look, you're wrong. Constantly having to accept you're wrong kind of takes away your authority a little bit. So you want to come prepared. And I started doing the research, and then as I got deeper and deeper, I said, because I'm a huge podcast listener, I listen to a lot of podcasts, including yours. And
thank
I
you.
started listening to a bunch of atheism podcasts, and the Four Horsemen, Matt Dillahunty, and Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris and Hitchens and all these guys. And I started
I
watching a
don't
lot
know
of YouTube
if
videos.
Matt Dillahunty.
Yeah, Matt is probably not one of the four horsemen, but
Yeah, we know what you meant though.